Lotta Love became a regular setlist number from January 7th, 1970 on. The band had 3 consecutive shows that week, including their now famous Royal Albert Hall performance, which was officially released on the 2003 DVD. You can see the band still trying to figure out how to work the middle Space Jam theremin section. The way their confidence with this song grew in less than a year is nothing short of amazing. Now How Many More Times was still on the setlist, and it was the song for long old school blues medleys. This remained the same until the band's appearance at the Bath Festival in June 1970. Things changed on their summer tour in August, when Lotta Love became the main host for them blues medleys, Elvis Presley songs included. How Many More Times slowly faded away as a result and would make 12 cameo appearances over the next 6 years. It has to be said, the band never performed Lotta Love the same way twice, adding variations to the main groove and feel. Jimmy Page changed the way he approached the guitar riff from playing small teasers on the intro to attacking the strings different. The studio version has a 16-note feel where he played downstroke accents on the low E string. This is what you hear most average cover bands do. Now, concert settings had Jimmy changing the attack on the power chord itself for a deeper pocket feel with less emphasis on the low string. In other words, dragging the riff without saturating dynamics. A great call by Jimmy, thus giving Bonham precious live headroom for his groove. Jimmy also added a slight bend on the 5th string to expand the guitar sound, with him sometimes adding the open 3rd string for additional textures. Jimmy finally found the perfect riff and soundtrack for his growing onstage guitar swagger. The mid-tempo riff amplified the fine tune of Mind and Body, where the performer becomes one with the instrument, duck face included. This ignited Page's search for another perfect riff that enhanced his stage identity. He would later find the mid-tempo twin brother to Lotta Love in Kashmir. Led Zeppelin also changed one small but very important bit of the song on stage. Past Robert's "You Need" vocals on the studio version, his bandmates responded with an E5 and A5 chord blast. They decided to change this to D5 and A5, which made for a better comeback as the D chord added a powerful statement right before coming back into the song and the main riff. The blues and rockabilly medley within Lotta Love became a celebration of their music heroes that inspired them. 1970 through 1972 had a lot of numbers in there, which can sometimes be a tough listen when revisiting the bootleg recordings. The studio version is nowhere to be found, but long runs of almost 25 minutes. Now, Robert Plant's cue back into Lotta Love would be him singing the lines "Woman" way down inside, which let the band know the medley was over. Official recordings from this time period include BBC Sessions 1971 and How the West Was Won, where Jimmy Page had to cut some of the medley portions out of copyright and timing issues. The theremin section had Bonzo and Jones create a suspended animation groove closer to the studio cut. Like I mentioned on my Making of the Houses of the Holy series, Robert Plant's high range was gone by late 1972, yet the band pushed the long medleys in Lotta Love up to the end of the European tour in April 1973. With new songs on their setlist and lengthier instrumental sections, an executive decision was made for Lotta Love by May 1973, just before the start of their famous 9th American tour. They would play a space funk section and stick to one blues cover, and then go back into Lotta Love. Now their US tour saw the track's signature guitar intro replaced by John Bonham's drum cue coming off Heartbreaker. You can hear this arrangement on The Song Remains the Same movie. While it was a refreshing approach, some fans didn't like it, as they expected the classic preparation into the song. This would be the first and last tour for this approach. 1973 was also the year of Page and Jones playing a slick variation on the main riff towards the end, which you can also hear on their 1976 movie. This version also included a tritone finale segment of C sharp, B flat, and G5 chords for an augmented scale and dramatic ending. The North American tour of 1975 was not kind to Plant's voice, which suffered the nasty blizzard weather of touring the States in winter. There were no more long medleys in Lotta Love, but a funk jam with references to James Brown and the Crunch from Houses of the Holy. The song was then connected to Black Dog via the Out on the Tiles riff. By 1977, the pressure to deliver 3-hour shows next to Plant still recovering from his leg injury and the ongoing dark clouds upon the band's entourage had Lotta Love played right up to the second verse and then cue into rock and roll. No funk jam nor blues medley, nothing. Now, in terms of attitude, I think this was the closest thing to the spirit of 1969 and one of my personal favorite versions. Against all odds, the band was back in 1979 with 4 concerts in the midst of uncertainty. Now, there was no way the 30-year-old rockers would embark on long Lotta Love medleys again, so they went for a set of new riffs past Jimmy's famous guitar solo. While these are known as the Knebworth riffs, they were also played at Copenhagen, Denmark, and work as a glimpse into what the 80s could have been for Led Zeppelin. Okay, the 1979 riffs on Lotta Love. Let's take a look at these, which remain one of the most original arrangements for the song without blues medleys. There's a total of 4 musical ideas, held together by Bonham's powerful mid-tempo groove, with Robert Plant adding his phrasing in between. So for this video I went for a Jimmy Page 1998 outfit. Let's go to the guitar examples. Riff number 1 reimagines the song's classic riff, with 2 variations on the low string, plus a chromatic run in the style of Good Times, Bad Times, and Physical Graffitis in the Light. Riff number 2 is a Hendrix-inspired chord motif of E and D major. It does sound like a faster version of the stuff we hear at the end of What Is and What Should Never Be. Riff number 3 uses a descending chord sequence of D5, C5, B-flat 5, and A. Now the riff is a sort of variation on Beethoven's Fifth. I know Ritchie Blackmore said this about Smoke on the Water. Well, Page and Jones's riff is actually closer to Beethoven. The guitar and bass resolution is an open G chord, which we can find on For Your Life. Number 4 is a definite throwback into a guitar and bass variation on an old Dazed and Confused jam idea. This was quite a bold attempt within the harmonic structure of Lotta Love, going into deep Phrygian textures with that E-flat note. Not an easy riff to play in pure latter-day Zeppelin style. Now the band was back at riff number 3 as a right bridge into familiar territories and back into Lotta Love.
Woman!
1980 was the last year for Led Zeppelin, and they played a combination of 1970 with a middle section in 1973 funk jam style. While they didn't play this at every show on their European tour, it felt like a fresh start, a new beginning in future 80s chapters that never were. Fun fact, Bad Company's Simon Kirke joined the band for a 2-drummer version of Lotta Love on this tour.
Baby!
Okay, so what about Willie Dixon and the lawsuit against Led Zeppelin? A legal precedent was set in 1972. With Chess Records, they sued the band for Zeppelin 2's Bring It On Home, claiming copyright on their 1966 tune by Sonny Boy Williamson, written by Willie Dixon. Now, they didn't sue over Bring It On Home's riff and main instrumental motif, but Robert Plant's lyrics.
I really don't know. I think it's just another one of those things that mankind, is coming to.
A settlement was reached out of court. This built a case against Zeppelin some 5 years past their breakup in 1985. Although Willie Dixon claimed he didn't hear Lotta Love until 1984, his camp returned and filed the same complaint, this time for You Need Love. Now, interesting to know, the Small Faces version was not involved in the lawsuit. We can assume Willie Dixon's lawyers did not think the Small Faces estate was as profitable to sue as Led Zeppelin. Once again, it was the lyrics what got Zeppelin into legal troubles, not the music. Sorry, Robert. Fun fact and sad fact, Willie Dixon had to sue ARC Music at some point over pending royalties for pretty much his entire catalog. At least Led Zeppelin paid on time. Chess Records didn't. Well, it became frequent to find cover versions of Lotta Love past 1990. It was done in the 70s as well. King Curtis played a version on his 1971 Fillmore West album. Dennis Coffey of Scorpio fame shared his own take on his 1971 Evolution album by the name of Whole Lot of Love. British band CCS recorded an instrumental version which was used on BBC's Top of the Pops for many years. Another 1971 cover was done by The Ventures for their New Testament album, which was sort of full circle as Jimmy Page was a fan of The Ventures' own Walk Don't Run, recorded in 1960. We also have 1973's Bobby Shad and the Batman's cover that was actually credited to a music subsidiary instead of Led Zeppelin's bandmates. How did this happen? But among these, Tina Turner steals the show with her 1975 take of her Acid Queen album, including Ghostbusters' own Ray Parker Jr. on guitar. Tina Turner's treatment of the song is magnificent. Original pressings of the album did not credit Willie Dixon. The late 70s saw further versions by the London Symphony Orchestra, Temple City Kazoo Orchestra, and a high-tempo take by Blonde on Blonde on their album And How. Fun fact, engineer on this album was Gary Langan, responsible for Yes's 90125. You can check the making of 90125 here on the channel. There was also a 1979 disco version by the Wonder Band of their Stairway to Love album. This is quite the dance take on the rock classic. It has everything disco was known for, good and bad. A 1990s highlight cover was played, of course, by Led Zeppelin. You can check their story on my post-Led Zeppelin episodes 1989 and 1990. Britpop band Goldbug played a very up-to-date version in 1995 that certainly boosted the groove factor in all 90s production glory. Now, one of my personal favorite covers of the song was released in 2010 on Santana's The Greatest Guitar Classics of All Time, featuring legendary rock singer Chris Cornell. He was born to sing this song, and Santana provided the passionate guitar chops that make this track rock. The Latin percussion feel adds extra points to the groove. Last but not least, I'm a huge fan of mashups, with my personal favorite being the Biggie Smalls Led Zeppelin mix that redefines the word gangster, and it's a great example of the band's percussive attack as a huge influence on hip-hop, besides the drum sound on When the Levee Breaks.
Biggie Smalls for mayor, the rap slayer, the layer, sayer. Hail Mary, full of grace. Take her Gucci bag and a North Face. I bust a cap for the brothers in Nat, Stock and Clinton. You know my shit is hitting.
Now, the Biggie Smalls mashup had a profound effect in me, thus I created many mashups around Lotta Love back in 2012 when I was working as an in-house media editor. I used precious downtime to make these.
I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my
In post-Led Zeppelin terms, Lotta Love was played at Live Aid 1985, the Atlantic Reunion 1988, and the 2007 L2 Arena concert, which contains the best version of all three. You can check retrospectives on all the reunion shows here on the channel. Page and Plant also performed this number on both their solo and reunion ventures. You can check my post-Led Zeppelin episodes for a deep dive on these. And how can we forget the 2008 Olympics when Page and Leona Lewis played it at the closing ceremony in China, as well as Page making The Edge and Jack White embrace their inner child amazement in full. Lotta Love, a song that changed the course of rock history forever. No matter how many more times you play it, it brings it on home. The groove remains the same. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the making of Led Zeppelin 2, the whole album, JCM style. Bye bye.
I suppose you